Well, obviously really shocked and deeply saddened to see the scenes at the time live, and hearing the news over the radio and on TV and stuff, and being completely and utterly shocked and wondering at the time whether we had anyone there that we knew really close and personal, but also feeling exactly what every Liverpool fan was going through at the time, because I'm sure everyone was wondering, did they know anyone who was at the game? And then obviously, going to bed that night and thinking about it, lying there in bed and, praying, if you like, and keeping your fingers crossed that, it didn't get any worse to what we'd already heard. And unfortunately for myself and my family, we got the dreaded knock the next morning to say that, a member of the family was at the game and had been tragically killed. Obviously it was a difficult time to know that one of your cousins was at that game and had been crushed, and seeing his mum and his dad and his close family, the reaction on their faces and stuff helped to drive me on to become the player I am today. Well, I think it was such a big tragedy. I think the majority of the players are already aware of it, aware of the event. They've probably seen it on the news because it would have went out worldwide at the time, but straight away you learn the values of the club and what the club's all about, things that have happened good obviously, but also things that have happened bad as well. So the players are brought up to speed of what happened at Hillsborough, and they pay their respects every year, like all the players and staff do. We go there every year to the memorial service, and thousands of people turn out still to this day. So it goes to show that the Liverpool supporters will never forget about it, or the players. Even when I stop playing for the first team, I'll continue to go to that service and show me respects every year. I do see John Paul's family there as well. So yeah, it's nice to go there and share the memorial service with them, and also the other people that are there showing their support to their family members that they lost. It's very central. It's very important, as you say, and it'll never ever be forgotten. Them 96 people that lost their lives will never ever be forgotten. The people that got hurt. But it's important that them people get remembered individually, not just as a number, as 96. And this club has fought for justice ever since, and will continue to do so. We've stuck together ever since that day, like we always do when times are hard at this football club, and that shows what kind of club we are. We're not just about what happens on the pitch. We're all one off the pitch as well.
The reaction to the disaster was magnificent. It's something which I think this city can take so much credit for. You look at the support that Everton Football Club and its fans gave to Liverpool and its fans at the time when it was most needed, and that's something which I don't think should ever be forgotten. There was so many events. There was fundraising going on in pubs, in schools, in workplaces, and there was a genuine rallying round for everyone who'd lost people, everyone who'd been injured, and anyone who'd been affected in any way. There was support groups set up, there was legal support, and it was just a great civic reaction to what was a terrible tragedy. But I mean, from my own point of view, I take enormous pride in the fact that in the days after the Sun's headlines, the protest that began with the march from Kirby, that was actually led by my auntie Frances Clark. She began the march, and when the papers were being burnt on the streets, I can still remember seeing the pictures of it on the news, and that's something which I know that I take a lot of pride from, that she took such a prominent action in what I thought was such a worthwhile cause. Because the way the disaster was covered by certain newspapers, I think the way it was done by others and the actions of some of the journalists involved have been rather overlooked. I mean, in the years after the disaster, you looked at the Daily Mirror coverage of the fight for justice, and in particular Brian Reid's report on what was going on and his search for the real truth. And that kind of thing is where I think the media is so priceless, because without that kind of journalism, that kind of willingness to stand up to the establishment and fight what is really going on, I think there's certain things which we know today which we may never have known. But it wasn't just paid for journalists, it was people, it was ordinary people who were so desperate to get at the truth that they were doing whatever they could to find. And I think that contributes to the point where we're at today, where we know what happened that day. We know who's responsible, and that's why there's such a burning sense of injustice in this city. I think if you're looking for good out of bad, which you have to, and whenever you have a tragedy, you have to try and get some sort of positives from it. And for me, the ones that stick out are the fight for justice, which has been an incredible feat that it's endured so long, and despite suffering so many setbacks, people are still so willing to fight for what is absolutely right. One of the other ones that struck me was the fact that I think Liverpool Football Club changed for the better in the days that followed Hillsborough. I can remember the day after when Pt2 took the decision to open the gates and let people come in to grieve, and that to me was the club opening up, because I think it's been well documented that it was a rather austere, unfriendly, maybe conservative football club in the before Hillsborough, but afterwards the club had to change it from the players needing the fans. All of a sudden it was the fans that needed the players, and the players, the staff, the manager in particular, Kenny Dalglish, responded magnificently, and that to me set the tone for the club as we know it today. If you look at recently Rafa Benitez turned up for the Hillsborough Justice single, I think that just summed up the way that Liverpool Football Club sees its fans and the importance it places on them, and how willing it is as a football club to support them.
It's hard to know where to start in terms of the impact of Hillsborough on the club. It's certainly been deep, long-lasting. You know, we wear the eternal flame on our shirts at every single game. The eternal flame burns bright at Anfield and will at the new stadium. I mean, clearly for a lot of people, the 20th anniversary has a significance, but you know, for me, it's no more significant than any other anniversary, because we always remember Hillsborough properly. You can't feel it more deeply this year than any other year. And I think for me, it's what binds the club to its supporters. I think the Hillsborough disaster had a massive impact on football. In terms of